Well, good day, everyone. Thanks for joining the weekly LaLa meeting. So I kind of thought that it would be interesting to just start each meeting with a round of appreciations and then end each meeting with a kind of an intention setting. So we have a kind of a habit, a cycle going. So perhaps we do that right now and just take turns just sharing something that they're appreciative of. So Neil, will you start us off, please?
Sure. I appreciate, again, just having this a real project that people can visit and touch and experience and live and breathe in to do the work in versus hypothetical. So really appreciate that. And I'll pass it on to Brendan and Leah.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Well, I'm appreciative for cosmic interventions, creating time and space connections like Tina and I arriving at her place within about 30 minutes of each other when we would have missed each other by an entire day if it hadn't happened the way it did. And that was really good. So there's my appreciation for that.
I'm appreciative we got to go out there, and it's too bad I didn't get to go up to Fort Collins, but I'm glad Brandon got to, and we got to see this beautiful part of the world and feel very excited about moving forward with this project. Okay, Ari?
I am appreciative of Brandon and Leah going over there and making it possible, making it real finally. Though I was the one, oh yeah, we got to do it, but actually they did it, right? So we got to be appreciative of them, of really honestly going and getting it done. And Tina, just for a follow-up, intention setting happens right now or later?
Later.
Okay. So I pass it on to Tina then.
Okay. Yeah, I'm appreciative that the manifestation is happening in a real place, right? And in real places, and that it's through that kind of practice that we get to really prove these systems and step into true regeneration, which is, all about bringing us in some interesting ways freedom and sovereignty as we step into how to feed ourselves, both with food and with people and community. And I learned so much about loving people when the permatours showed up and delivered Sydney to the door and the garden gate, and she's now choosing to stay here and help us manifest even further the things we need. So deep appreciation for that. Thank you, guys. So the agenda is in the chat. I lost my glasses, so I've got these weird glasses. Sorry for I look weird, I'm sure, but I'm going to stay live.
I don't see it in the chat.
Oh, you don't see it in the chat? It's in there.
I do. Sorry, it says Google Doc.
Yeah, I didn't copy and paste. We could do that if you'd like, or we could just add directly to the document if we want to.
Yeah, that works.
Right. Okay. So this would have been right about now, and I guess this would fit with introductions and announcements. Announcing Sydney here as on many different levels of membership, which is really beautiful. She's interested in investing as well as participating, as well as being an aligned organization through Permatours, considering LaLa Gardens now a Permatours headquarter. And definitely going to be a powerhouse when it comes to financial fundraising and just overall marketing. And she has helped me organize in such a profound way. She's drawing everything out that needs to be put on paper. So I'm just introducing Sydney, and I wish she was here to receive that. And when she does get here, anyway, that's for that. And then we've been working on this new deck and financial projection template. So I don't know if we want to wait to show that when she's here, because she's also working on, there's a whole, this first little paragraph I think would be helpful with her here. So maybe we step into the second part of the agenda, which is the accounting of needs and offerings. So we've identified that in our financial planning that we need to understand what each of the transition team is bringing as far as their offerings, their valuation, like what do you want in return for your labor and you know, I know it's membership and I know all that, but we need we need a number to that. And so if you need any help with that at all, that can be provided. I think Sydney had offered help with that. So, but it'd be really nice. And there's a linked doc in there. So maybe just Sherry populated it. I had her populate it with hers. So we've got a bio in there, links, Calendly's. The MetaMask is important because we're going to be using Celeste Labs as part of the DAO tool. Whether we use Hyper or not is still up for consideration. But Celeste is a blockchain application, and so this is a way for us to be part of history. It's a strong ask on our parts, just because we know Sahana are in relationship with her already as an organization through Regen Gardens, and it would be a really beautiful way to kind of help integrate the NFT architecture, and just it's a gorgeous management tool. So yes, feedback on that. But then meanwhile, maybe fill out that doc with all of your information so we can put that into the financial projections.
Hey, Sid.
Sweet.
Hi.
I was just going over the agenda and probably talking and hogging the conversation too much. So welcome.
Well, you're getting pigs soon, so it's appropriate that you'd be hogging.
Oh my goodness.
It's really great to be here. Hi, everyone. I'm really excited.
I see that Region Civics call just ended because you and Letty came in at the same time.
It's still going, but this is more important for me right now. So
Yeah. Are they officially going to till the half hour now? They changed that?
I think today is a special call, like it's extra long.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Tina was going over Celesta. Can someone give like just a brief overview of what Celesta is? And maybe Letty can talk about like how that relates to the HIFA tool, if at all, or if it's an either or an and.
Yeah. Letty, have you been in Celesta?
I have seen your video going through the app. Yes,
Yeah.
this 30 seconds video or something like that, but not inside the tool itself.
Yeah, so it's like a DAO tool and a project management tool. Regen Garden has been slowly acclimating, but it's very similar to HIFA, except for the fact that the woman who's been working with us has been updating it per our needs. So she's like there on our meetings, helping us, receiving feedback, coding, way more available than HIFA. And it's a bit more user-friendly, in my opinion.
I think it's more conducive to project management inside a DAO, so you can follow easier, like what is being done, what you can do next. And with that, with HIFA, you need to think everything in advance. Like it may be too general, but I like the archetype roles too, because that's connected with the future roles we are working with. So I have like this, double thing, like project management, Celesta, and archetypes, HIFA.
Right. So there's clusters or categories of work. There's quests like tasks, and then there's milestones, and there's a Kanban view where you can have like what's to do, and then people can assign themselves, move them into different buckets. And then when something's verified by those individuals who are assigned that role of verifier, then they can be moved to the like completed, and then tokens can be allocated accordingly. So.
And you need a badge previously. So every role has a badge to be able to do that kind of task, right? Badges or are roles?
Yeah, not necessarily a badge, but you need to like provide, a role. Yeah, you need to provide your wallet address to get in, and then you're assigned a role. And so everyone can have all the permissions, or only some people can have the permissions, but the main like hierarchy would be around token allocation, like verifying that's completed and sending the tokens accordingly.
So it's kind of an either or. It's kind of HIFA or Celesta, right?
Right.
Got it.
Yeah, and within Celeste, so I just sent off, we can operate through the archetypes just by the way we set up the different tasks as well. So it's not necessarily that one is one and one is the other. We can work with the archetypes within the Celeste Labs.
The thing is, like with Celeste, we can work with it from the very beginning, and with Haifa, it is not operable right now, I guess, with the Anchor wallet, because that's Telos and not it. So that's another point.
Exactly. Aryabhata, do you have a question? You have your hand up.
No, actually, even I wanted to add some comments because I did deep dive into both DAO tools, and I definitely like the prompt that Sydney gave with her video that inspired me to take a deep dive. And once I got into their Discord, they're just a team of 2 people, 2 individuals. Is that correct, Sydney?
Correct. Daniel and Sahana.
Okay, and this is very inspiring because the reason being that even if the tool is buggy, working with a small team like that and then empowering them in the process as we learn our process of organizing, because the template that I've observed, the DAO tool that Haifa is offering, it just looks like that Haifa. I don't want to follow Haifa's template. Come on, I don't want you to follow your archetypes. I just want to come up with a new way of doing things. Why should I be like boxed into your ways of thinking and organizing your governance? That is not how it works. I want flexible, customized tool that works for our needs. So definitely I saw a roadblock. I was really disappointed with the Haifa tool compared to Celesta team. I would just say that it's more about investing in the team than using their tool. It's not about the tool anymore. It's about empowering them, trying to inform by our use case as we evolve our organization and how we evolve our structures, guiding them how they could adapt their tools, make it more modular, so that they could customize it for other clients based on their needs, because everyone should not follow our template as well. But we are just creating, that path for them. And Neil would be a very great example in that with his wiki and documentation and way he does, that could empower their team. So we should more about not the tool. Don't think about the tool, think about the people behind the tool and the time that they are giving to us, the attention they are giving to us, and we should invest in them. And I have a very strong opinion there.
Actually, I just had a quick question related to Leah's regenerative standards. Is the Haifa tool does not currently allow decay or demurrage or perishable tokens in the I was wondering if like Celeste, is that something we could work with them on and discuss that?
You said perishable tokens?
Yeah, like tokens that
Burned.
that are designed to
How did you
expire.
burn?
Like you can have ones that are permanent and say design ones that are actually meant to expire in a year or decay over time.
So, over there, I can give some inputs over there. The reason
But that's
I've looked
like
into
our region suggestion. So I think that is in the realm of tokenomics. So making really a tokenomics or a token, which will be like our own design. That's region living design, or that will be interoperable with other cryptocurrencies, right? So we cannot ask for the tool to provide us those capacities, I guess, but we can make our tokenomics then match the tool we are using. And that can be in a different realm. So maybe for the cooperative, we are using like more traditional accounting methods, and then we expand those to the Celesta or our token building and Cosmos, and we make those bridges. So it's like accounting for that as well. So this decay is going to be like in the living systems we create. So that Leah would speak to that more when we are designing that. But that's work in progress too. So
okay.
So I would just build on what where Letty was going with it. She is referring to the design of your tokenomics and how you as a community, what are your value and values and how you would work with it. So that is what the design is of tokenomics. But then the tool, let's not consider the tool and the technical implementation of it, because current technical implementation that they have done is with MetaMask, Ethereum, which is having its own set of issues. So that is something that we can figure out as we work with the team, invest in the team as much as the team is invested in us succeeding and we are invested in them succeeding. We will evolve based on our design of our tokenomics So let's not get fixated in the technical implementation of it. That's what I'm trying to say. Because they have implemented with MetaMask, that has to be deep dived into it because it has its own challenges and there are other better tools there. A lot of other things are there.
Mhm, exactly.
Yeah, we've been working with her for many months and she's very much like developing it for Regen Gardens needs and use cases and other organizations. I'm sure she'll do the same for LaLa. So like whatever we need and her ability to customize and implement that is beneficial to her. And she's been along the journey, like showing up every week to calls, going above and beyond. So yeah, I'm a champion for her in that tool.
I echo that.
Okay, got a lot of things on the agenda.
Okay, I'm also scribing, so anyone can jump in on that one. Okay, so let's go back. Do you want to see the presentation? Okay, I'm not looking at your faces and I will in a second, but hands up on if you want to see the financial pitch deck.
Yeah, I think that's pretty relevant. Yeah.
Let's look at it.
Okie dokie. I should have been ready and had it open.
Even if we are so all beautiful, but we can look at a bit.
Yeah. We will. We can't deep dive necessarily because it's quite the lovely thing. Hold on a second. I'm going to share screen.
And Tina, if you want me to help you with scribing or sharing screens, just let me know. Happy to help.
Okay. Do you have the option to share screen right now?
I can.
Okay, go for
Okay.
it. I would love that because you can help direct that.
Okay, I got you.
Man, it's just a joy working with this human being.
Mm.
All of you, by the way. But
I'm in love with you too. Okay.
All right, we're starting with the pitch deck apparently, and that's a beautiful thing.
Oh, is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Okay. Come
So,
stay for the LaLa. And
yeah.
that's the playful part. Don't worry. We're going deep.
Do you want to read it?
I think it's slideshow.
LaLa
Slideshow
Gardens
button.
Slideshow? Okay.
Yeah, it would be more beautiful. Even.
Oh my goodness. LaLa Gardens Cooperative LCA PBC is sanctuary to microbes, to insects, to mammals, offering resonance, coherence, and cohesion at the speed of trust. Now, these three categories, resonance, coherence, and cohesion, you're going to see going forward. And it is the structure that is going to be useful in looking at the financial projections. So just understand that these are very functional words right here. Next. Providing sustenance as a protected ecosystem and process of succession by principles of the Declaration of Interdependence, partnerism, ecology, ecological economy, mutual support, and regenerative ecosystems, cultural, virtual, and earth-based. And hopefully I touched on something that every one of our organizations can key into through these words. And obviously this is up for editing. So, but I tried to touch on how each one of us are going to be able to support within the approach and the philosophy. So next. And then a bit of history, kept it really short. I think the thing that was important to me was to also show natural farming, the data that we're collecting and as a group within our social designs, within the garden itself, that those are the things that support regenerative practices that should and can and must lead to sovereignty of the natural being within a thriving ecosystem. So I'm just trying to link it to human living that allows us to express freedom. Next. Ownership model. We are in the process of transitioning from private ownership to business owned. This is different. So this can be changed. This language is just, that's why I asked the question in Telegram. But basically governed by the cooperative, holding the collective responsibility to protect the garden as a legacy, natural, successive ecosystem in trust for perpetuity. This needs to change. I would love your input, Letty, Leah, Brand, everybody on this one. Next. And then just actively looking at the residents and giving them something of their, so we're defining through also the financial papers, sort of what the different residencies are, what the different actual in real life activities are on the garden. You'll see that in a second. So next, these are the current projects. I'm sure we could probably add some to this. We can read, you guys can read through this later. Next. Now this is interesting. This is kind of leading into IRL practice on the garden. We're identifying all the different areas of focus. So Brandon, you would be very interested to to be active in here. And then it leads to a document that goes into a description of needs-based things. This is, yeah, go ahead, go. This is the Microbe Heroes NFT collection that is linked to the Regen Garden. It's already up and running. It's there to be really developed further. Keep going. Yep, participation Regen Civics. We'll just do a brief overview at this point. Co-op structure, membership classes. I went ahead and call it ally member. We could just change that. I knew there was a call out for a different name. It's just practicing.
I like that. I like ally member.
Because
Me
then it's
too.
A class, which means the investor feels like they're A class, you know, so it's got a psychological, like I'm first, investors like.
It's good. Yeah.
I thought you'd like it, Neil. So yeah, then, and this also, just like the coherence and the resonance and the cohesion, these revenue streams are going to be in the financial planning. So there's residencies, immersions, curriculums, retreats, events, quests, products, and virtual, including the Microbe Heroes. And then a little bit of a mention about the LaLa coin token, which I'm really personally interested in tying to the existing equity. And then we can work that into the tokenomics and play with that when we're actually backing it by dollars. So next. Then here's all the members so far. I've got to add a few more to the current contributors list, but these are all people who are actively members. So we've got a healthy membership just right off the bat, y'all. Like we have people who from permatours want to go deep and contribute some major money. We've got a $5,000 contribution already. We've got things coming. So that's part of what makes this meeting alive. I would love, anyway, so keip going.
Sydney, you're on 3 of the list.
I just want to, yeah, I was just going to say, Neil, I can see your smile and it's like really beautiful.
I know. So goals, transition phase, active, achieve freedom from banks. But then I would love you all to take this particular very seriously. I need money, inputs for these bank fees, regen living fees, private lender fees, Leah. Cooperative phase, how many shares, like if shares, how much are we going to be doing there? And then I'll take care of the NFT projections part. And the rest of them, it looks like as well. We'll figure out those. Okay. Yep. Okay, keep going.
This is a really important slide, I think.
Okay. Do you want to read it?
You want me to read it?
I can.
You read it.
Okay. All right, desired impact. Function as a demonstration garden. And I know demonstration is hard for you, Leah, and we can talk about that further. I'm open. Function as a demonstration garden in all things regenerative, beginning with redefining ownership as stewardship. Offer transparency, templates, data, and functions of a regenerative garden as it transitions from private ownership to a public good. Protect sanctuary by virtue of allowing nature to express succession within a garden space that feeds all living residents, neighbors, villages, local, and within the virtual landscape, thus planetary as Mother Earth. Practice indigenous wisdoms of natural farming and matriarchal cultural expressions through partnerism and practice of indigenous food system sovereignty in cooperation with existing regenerative ecosystems. Head in the cloud, feet rooted in soil, case study, alpha, beta, partner for Web3, iterations that help us as a global community own and create our own systems of economy, governance, and cultural exchange.
Woo!
Next. Oh, cool. That was pretty. Financial. So, yeah, here's a little bit about me. And then it's just a little overview. I have yet to fill this out. Keep going. And then I've got a roadmap that has a little bit of personal mixed in there. I have to go in and do some editing, but it's basically trying to give you the roadmap from when I bought the property to how I fell in love with blockchain, how the blockchain really informed my decisions since about 2015. And so this has been a long and windy road, and it's just beautiful to have everybody it's just beautiful to find resonance, right?
You went back in time in 2012. I'm just kidding.
Wow. That's when
Neil!
she got the time machine. You didn't hear
Yeah.
about that? Oh, time travel machine.
Big deal. Oh wait, don't even look at this one. I'm certainly going to
Okay.
take time on that one. And here's our financials. Woo woo. Okay.
You can see them, right?
Yep.
Yep. So
So
we're looking
bills.
at, yeah, you go. You
Yeah.
start.
So the current bills, which I heard Brandon, you've been supporting with outreach there, which is amazing. Wish lists, like these are the things that we're calling in per the goals here. This spreadsheet specifically is being cleaned up by Dan, who's the head smart contract developer manager on the Regen Garden project. He's also a financial analyst dude. So he's taking this spreadsheet and cleaning it up and turning it into projections, but you can just scroll through and see the different streams. And this is what Christina was talking about earlier as far as resonance, coherence, and cohesion. And yeah, it's pretty exciting to see what Christina can offer from her own personal experience in this resonance column. And then when you look at the coherence and cohesion columns, you'll see some offerings that would happen in concert with local partners and businesses, alliance organizations, et cetera. So she's working on the one-time costs involved, the ongoing costs or maintenance, and then the revenue that could be generated from these different offerings.
Can you give a quick description of the 3 different types, the cohesion, coherence, and
Yeah, for sure. So resonance is to do with soil, basically. So the resonance comes from the soil, and it does actually come from the soil. And coherence is basically how I define community. So I believe that you have effective community when you reach coherence between people. So that sort of describes the more community aspect of our revenue streams and integration. So, and throughout this document, it's became obvious it's like more expensive to be in a one-on-one relationship with the garden itself. It's both more costly and more expensive. But then as you go out into the community through coherence and then into cohesion, which is also like the community in cohesion with its environment. So it's more ecosystem based. It's a little bigger. It's like more about the global networks. It's more about the movements that we're trying to inspire. It's more about maybe some of the ecological projects that we end up incorporating eventually that seem to be in cohesion with the coherence of the thing we did in resonance. So it's kind of like just this process of from hyperlocal, global, but also from the soil through community and into the ecosystem at large. So
If I
the
could
way
just, can
yeah,
I chime in really quick? Yeah, so I'm also adjusting to this terminology. And I think that there's a lot of different ways that we could go about categorizing or clustering things. So I shared in the chat a couple minutes ago this archetype grouping sheet to explain some of the roles and like what happens under those. There's also this sheet, actually, I'm not sharing my screen, oops. So here's the archetype groupings that Christina has detailed. And then there's this document that highlights like what's happening and how it could be categorized as well, to add a little bit of color and detail to like what she's talking about under each of these different categories. So
yeah, I mean, it's like, it's a pretty big model. I mean, it's absolutely open for integration of all kinds of overlays. The reason I think it's interesting is because it'll give us a model. We can actually play with it and say, oh, what if we did this to it? And what if we had more community orientations? Or this cost doesn't quite reflect mutuality or something. So I'm trying to set it up in a way that we can actually decipher patterns from the revenue streams. And yeah, it's complicated.
and this will also adjust wildly depending on the members and what they're committing to, the residents here, people who are members and supporting remotely, et cetera. But this is like Christina's commitment, her background and experience are in these areas. So
Yeah, exactly. It's not, yeah, exactly. I'm trying to keep it open for like growth and other community, and at the same time accounting for what is actually here, what has been here, what can be here. So it's, yeah, I'm trying to do it all. But of
Yeah,
course,
I see the parallel between the Ken Wilber I, we, it's, the I self, the community and the universe.
yeah,
Except instead of the I, it would be the soil, which is
Yeah.
interesting, right? Not the human, but the earth itself would be the
Right.
I.
that's beautiful. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and
good.
the experience steward is the we in the categorization.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Then the next slides are risks, next steps, and needs, asks, loan terms, financing options, which is like particularly relevant as some Permatours members are interested in supporting with money, but they also want to be members. And so just identifying, the different options for people who want to offer money and what they could get accordingly.
Mhm. Yay, gorgeous. Which brings us in, so just as a kind of follow-up, catch up on just the last little bit, I would love to have if you're amenable to Celesta being used, we're gonna need your MetaMask, and absolutely love to have your bio so that we can fit them into the financials and put your offerings in there and fit them in for ways that we can have that overlay and obvious input on the spreadsheets as we're going along. And then that brings us to some of Letty's offerings for the agenda, which include where we're standing with the multi-sig wallet, and some decisions according to signatures, and an announcement about the bank account opening. And then anyway, so let's move into that part of
I was
it.
just curious to get Leah and Brandon's comments on that since we haven't heard from
Yeah.
them.
Thank you.
Oh, it's nice to see all this in one place. Easily accessible to make, because it was like everywhere before. So thank you for taking the time to do that. I think that's going to go a long way. If we have time at the end, I want to bring up something, but so that's just a seed.
No, I agree. Me glancing across that, there's some input. I'm sure some things will get cleaned up. As you said, this is the first go. And so, yeah. But yeah, I like to see it all in one location. So it's answering a lot of questions. I've seen Ari's hand up for quite some time. I don't know if you got a question. Yeah.
No, that's okay. Please go ahead.
No, I'm good. I'm liking everything that I'm seeing and the energy. I got to say, I'm loving the energy. The Sydney's got great energy. I told you, Ari, when you showed up kind of a month ago, and we were like, wow, I can get along with this guy. And then being in Tina's presence just a few days ago, we'll get into that at some point, but yeah, like fireworks. Good job. Things are happening now. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love that. We'll get into that. There's like a huge announcement at the end of this call, which like keeps the energy flowing.
Yeah, nice new haircut, by the way, lady. Speaking of flowing.
No, it's the same one.
Hey.
But thank you, because this is like growing, like our energy. So thank you. Yes, thanks. So I can share my screen now with the bylaws if you want, just to have an overview of those. Let me finish this one. No, that's the other one. Here, okay. So this like flows into our previous legal discussions, because we found out like the LCA, a limited cooperative association, was the best way to go for LaLa's, because we want to embody cooperative principles in all our endeavors, really. So it's like a huge help to have this kind of just legal. Sorry, I'm changing all the time the screen. This one. Yes, having this cooperative association is great for Colorado too. Colorado is the place or the home for many cooperatives, and many of those are also choosing a limited cooperative association, and they have a DAO governance. That's something we want to replicate, and with all the financial we have been seeing, it's like something that will empower us to have all these flow streams, value flows between the soil that is giving us the products, the earth, the everything that we really need. The cooperative, which are not only financial, which is the money we will be bringing in for sure, the financial, the main invest, our financial offer impact will be have this kind of dollar-based accounting for members to come in, but we will be using this usage or this patronage accounting, right? So we have here our guiding principles. We are guided by the regenerative development principles, which are established by LaLa here also, and also by the declaration of interdependence and partnerism, right? And we decided that with this cooperative, we will be having these bylaws, which are like the original legal agreements. We come in here to sign as a group, also as members of the cooperative. So we will be having a registered agent in Colorado, which is already chosen by our articles of incorporation, which were filed on June 27th, I think. So it's almost like 20 days ago, and we are in the process of signing these bylaws. So we have to do that by legal provision. We have to do that in the next few days. So we will be having several classes of members. These classes and qualifications, we are changing this way of naming them. Like the steward member will be probably the S class for our members to come into the crowdfunding. The community member will stay the C, and we will have, yes, our allies, which will be organizations, individuals, super keen to get into LaLa and have this kind of, yes, ownership into the cooperative, not only in the land, but also in the coherence, right, as a steward. So we're having Class C patron members, which will be voting members in our governance. We'll be having Class stewards. So this is Class community, Class patron member steward, and Class allies. This will be our allies members. We, as a cooperative and voting with the members to the directors, can expand these classes of membership to account for all these other fantastic value flows we have been talking before. So we will be, probably we'll have more or not, that depends on our evolution, and we'll be having these meetings. This is like really following the Colorado Limited Association Act. So even the articles, if you follow the articles of the act, you will be having the same order. So I find that is useful, because if you read the act and you read our bylaws, it's connected. So I spent quite a few time reading the fantastic Colorado Limited Association Act. Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Fantastic laws. Thank you. The normative, yes, all these people, the limited, the federal one, because it's based on that. Yes, member voting, we will be having this more democratic way of voting, which will be having votes per member, but also per usage. So if you contribute more time, more inputs, more energy, you will have like this voting governance also adapted to you, but we will be keeping this kind of non-share stock for the cooperative, but we'll be choosing this other one, which it is more suitable for that. And the means of voting, we'll be having annual meeting, several other meetings if they have to be conducted for specific reasons. We'll be also allowing for electronic notice and voting for the annual membership meeting. Members' interest in here, we are following also a cooperative that is a real estate cooperative. So this is based both in a practical example of bylaws from this cooperative and following also the Colorado Act. So we'll be accounting for the shares and certificates more into the membership realm of the members. So you come in and you have your membership because you vote into the cooperative. These are like the standards also for having termination, membership, and suspension from your membership. You can decide not to be a member the following year, or you want to invest more of your capital, of your time. So you can come in here like, I don't know, maybe 10 times from now, which will be a better time for all of us, I guess. You can transfer, but this in here in these bylaws, we really accommodate for what are the causes or the options you have really for transfership. member information, membership dues. The cooperative will have like an annual membership dues for being part of the cooperative, and we'll be using this patronage. And we'll be also like having benefits distributed when there are benefits with this, all this accounting and financial we have seen before. There will be an initial interim board for the cooperative. Yes, this will be the initial, and then it's voted next year in the annual board meeting, annual members meeting, sorry, so the general meeting for the cooperative. It can decide to have same change some of the board directors or having new board directors. And yeah, this is like a long document, but I will post it in here for us to see indemnification. And here is the article 10 we have been talking about. It's like having all these financials really embedded into the cooperative, and also something to offer for the main best care funding we are doing for the members, and also in our internal accounting, because we will be functioning as a DAO really. So we'll be having this kind of accounting, and we'll be incorporating those into here. But this is like the initial bylaws we have to sign, and then we're gonna have like these policies active after this one. The association, dissolution, and the case item still at first table, and that will be our initial bylaws, and we have to decide some points like the initial interim board, if we want to cap the benefits, maximum cap, and not really that much like the memberships, because that's what we are doing now. So I guess that's our main point here. And that's it.
It's pretty epic. I mean, one thing I want to say overall about what the work that Lady put together is, you know, we have all this cryptocurrency talk, decentralized talk, all this DHO, but like, how does it apply to the real, how does it apply to the world we live in day to day, especially as it ties to real estate? And whenever I get in those discussions, everyone's mind goes blank. So we literally basically has created a doc that I think figures all that out. And so it's pretty epic work. And the fact that she knows tokenomics and now cooperative law, I think it's probably one of the only people in the world that actually knows these two areas at the same time. So I just want to give a lot of credit for, because it's to know what Letty's done. Few people can understand the scope of work she's done. So I just want to let people know this is groundbreaking, precedenting work. So, yay.
COAP.
So on that note, I'll just say, epic. Thank you, Letty, for doing what you're doing, because I was not even trying to follow that conversation and not even trying to read and process it in my head. So good, somebody is doing it. And other than that, I would just mention something, since Letty mentioned about tokenomics and design, and now she's coming with this solid thing coming in the pipeline. Seeds tokenomics 2.0 is being discussed in the background. So if Neil, Tina, Letty, you're not paying attention, please do. That's my request. Secondly, I would mention that there is Seeds Tokenomics 1.0 had 35% seeds that are about 350 million seeds were earmarked for Seeds DeFi Bank, which as part of transition to Seeds 2.0 will be like vanished. I don't want that to happen. We'll create a DAO around it and make meaning of it only if we follow Seeds 2.0 tokenomics discussion to understand how harmoniously we can have that transition from Seeds 1.0 to 2.0. So I just wanted to let you know, because that is what even this cooperative will need to distribute it to its member. So for example, if you have $400,000 that you're trying to raise, you could be having 400,000 seeds, like in whatever that dollar correlation, seeds should be given in return from them, so that the liquidity can spread in the ecosystem to use the services on the property itself. And that is how we start the circular economy that is land-based and connected together. So we got to figure that piece out. That's my request, my sincere request, more than trying to figure out Celesta's multi-sign, which I will work with their team to get that optimized, but this is more important. All right. So
Yeah,
I just wanted
to add to that, I think it's an important conversation to have as to whether we're going to launch the LaLa coin on top of Seeds or independent. And the value of launching it with Seeds is, I could go on a really long tangent, and I don't know if I should right now, considering there's a lot of other agenda items, but I'm happy to do that if there's time.
We can certainly cover, we need to cover the bankruptcy, saving the property from bankruptcy, but like we certainly, if there's time afterwards.
Sounds
of
good.
course.
Yeah,
Great.
and I'm dropping, thank you. But that's a discussion we should have seriously, sit down and think through it, just tokenomics, focus on that. So
Yeah.
it can need a special space for it, all right? So thank you, I'm dropping off now. Thank you, take care.
Yes, we will, Ari, we'll do that, Ari. Okay, multi-sig, any action items that need to be accomplished right now so we've got to sign the bylaws. That means we've got to review it, make suggestions, amend it, whatever needs to happen, then get it signed. There's a multi-sig wallet aspect to this. There's a bank account that needs to be opened. So do we want to put days to this,
Well,
deadline?
let's start with like what we need to do to save the property, because all that's related. That's all,
Alright.
those are the little details that attached to like what we gotta do to save the property.
Okay, let's do that.
This is where Brandon and Leah.
Hey, Brandon's. It's kind of.
Okay.
Okay.
So the main thing we have right now, Leah's already got the pre-approvals, but we're looking and being requested to raise 5 to 20%. The words are with 20% down, it's a no-brainer, done, easy to make it happen. With 5%, there's lots of hoops to jump through and there's potential delays on closings, et cetera. So I think we should focus on raising 20% of our purchase price. And right now we're looking at a number of 450,000 so that we have capital to hold for the interim during the transition to do improvements on the property and make the payments for everything for a considerable amount of time. So that's where we're at right there, and Leah can add to it.
Yeah, so that's a 450 loan, that means basically the contract for the property will have to be around 550. I mean, we'll work out the exact numbers, but so the 20% down on 550 we can set up mechanisms so it comes back immediately to the people who've put it down up front. So there's like zero risk, because the biggest thing right now is with the market doing what it's doing, everyone's like, I don't want my cash that I put down to like disappear, which is, a valid concern. So there's that. What are you saying?
Okay, Leah, can you explain the difference between 450 and 550? Why it needs to be?
Yeah, so like when you write a purchase contract,
Yeah.
let's say it's 550, right? And the bank's like, okay, 550, you're going to put 20% down, which means we're only going to loan you, whatever, 20% less than the 550. So
Yeah.
440, right? So that would be the loan amount, 440. And so in the bank's mind, the other 20% is going to the seller, right, to do whatever they want with. But for our purposes, we'll set up mechanisms to have that money.
I get it.
Digitally, right? Just go, flow around and just go back to people.
We need that money. We can't give it to the bank.
Right.
No, and yeah, and it's just, I mean, this is essentially a game, right? That we're playing, and we just play it for what it is. So that's that part.
Got it.
So I still, for some reason, I'm confused when it's a 450 versus a 550 actual. So that extra is going back to, just so I can put it in the notes, and I'm sorry if I'm not rocking completely. What are we covering with that extra?
If we were doing a purchase price just to pay off of 350,000, that's real close, but let's say 350, and they required us to put 20% down, then that would be $70,000.
Okay, I got you.
They would only be loaning $280,000 to us.
Okay, I
So
got
we'd
you.
be putting our cash in, they'd be putting a loan amount, but the purchase price would be the 350.
I get
There'd be zero money at that point. So we have to elevate the purchase price. And if we just did a 450 purchase price and we put $90,000 down, they would only be loaning us 390,000. See?
I got you.
So we have to do an elevated purchase price. And that way, when we put the money down of 90,000, it actually comes back to you, Tina, at the closing table where you dedicate it back to the project. So we
Okay.
have a loan amount that's higher, but we have $90,000 to $100,000 of equity coming back from the closing table for us to utilize moving forward.
Got you.
And do you want Neil to talk about the main best structure? Because we were talking with them, like having maybe just having this whole structure built with them and using the down payment from the first investors coming into the finance proposal, and using that exact maybe 90 or 110,000 we are saying now, and using that for the commercial loan. Or how do you see that? Because they were like saying we also can use this kind of adjustment and doing it in milestones. So we can say, okay, we raise up to 110, and then we go to the 350, and then maybe 700,000. But that's like for the members to come in and to later, like, have these members, community stewards and the allies may come in here into the investment proposal.
I mean, it's like what Symbol was providing, but they're a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
So the idea is that if you need 90 or 110 grand now, you can do that as a milestone, and then once you reach that milestone, let's get to 450. So then, we're basically, the community is providing all the loan money, not the bank. And so they would be the platform we use for collecting money for loans, and it's the same platform that Common Grounds use to raise millions, literally. And then we need to build an internal platform for our own site to collect the payments for cooperative shares. Because it's better, we don't need them for that. So that's two platforms. One platform for collecting ownership shares of $100 or so, and then one platform for contributing tens of thousands of dollars at a time for loans.
Okay.
So we looked at that platform before called Symbol. Mainvest is another one, and we looked at that because that's what Common Grounds is using. Common Grounds is a $16 million project. It's a huge success. One of the only real estate cooperatives in the country, and a lawyer has been an advisor to me in doing all this. Like, I wouldn't be doing any of this if it wasn't for this project in Michigan and the lawyer founder helping me out designing this whole program.
Yeah, and I think we vetted that platform is like readjustable to what we want to raise and the specific requirements from the very beginning. So there's no fee up front. And then it's like, the structure is like super good. It can be
3%.
member based, 2%. That's a fee. So it's like the best out there.
Yeah.
Which we can use, and it's like crowdfunding regulation certified. So it's like there's no problem for us to use
That Mainvest,
financial instrument.
Yes,
that's 2%,
3%. Yeah.
3%.
Free.
Yeah. So Lady and I had a call with one of the founders, and so I mean, Lady and I are good to go with setting it up, but we want to get consensus. Do we all need a group call with them? Do you guys want to trust us on this one? That's what we want to come to.
I feel good about it.
But I think we should be thinking about ownership in the LCA, and maybe this is already set up and I just kind of missed it, that will have, it sounds like, people who can invest without living anywhere close, right? Like it's more of a global offering. But then, the point of regenerative projects on the ground is to strengthen the local communities, right? So we want to have more local ownership as well and buy-in. So I think as long as we have mechanisms to help people who live more locally to know about this and to invest and buy in, that'll work out fine.
Those are steward members. We're calling those steward members,
Yeah.
the ones who are more tied to the day-to-day operations of those are steward members. Then we have community members, which is basically anybody that wants to contribute $100 towards a project. And then there's a separate, the LCA calls them investor members, but investor is just completely confusing to a cooperative. So we're calling them ally members now, thanks to Tina. We're calling them supporter members, but ally members is if people contribute money as if it's a loan, but they get no say based on how much money they put in. No extra say based on how much
There's non-voting membership in the cooperative. So you get your dividends back, but you don't have the ownership in terms of governance in the cooperative.
And
Yeah.
there's quite a few subcategories too, like what the tenants get, what event organizers get as members, what nomads who want to come here and use the amenities in the gardens, etc. So we're working on detailing that as well. So it's quite clear like what category you fit into and what you get accordingly.
Yeah, but also what I'm saying is like, let's say people just who live in the Fort Collins area or that bioregion, you know, I'm saying we should target them as the members and investors, because even if they never go there, like it's in their backyard, right? And they have a higher incentive to make sure it works. So if they're getting updates, informational updates, they're like, we need, you know, this to help us. They're much more likely to come help or support than somebody who lives all the way around the world or, you know, in Europe or what have you. And so this is one of the very important regenerative principles that people often miss, right? Is that we're working in these like nested layers of communities.
Right.
And so it needs to be a consideration, right, in everything we do, and especially this like economic part. It needs to be really strong there.
So it's up to us to define what a steward member is. So, you know, obviously that's one qualification. If you're working 50 hours a week, or if you live there, or, you know, or you have an organization that has lots of partnerships, those are all, you know, and whether we need a super steward member, I don't know. That's, you know, there's nothing says that we can't do that. But
Yes, maybe we can put those into the policies or the our documents going forward. So we will be also having this collective learning and these feedbacks of the information that are so important for the soil and for our members. So we can adjust those too.
Okay. So does Maine invest, like, do they target certain, or can they target certain geographical areas, or are they just kind of like everywhere? Just whoever, you know, whoever has access to their website can invest. I guess I'm asking, what is their like marketing strategy for getting the investments?
yeah, it's like Kickstarter or anywhere it's like you can't discriminate location. Like, yeah, it's like all the crowdfunding platforms, they're all kind of like that.
Okay.
Our targeted marketing, there's many ways that we've done it in the past, and some information a lot of people don't know. Any radio station or TV station that receives federal funding has a minimum requirement of free public announcements for nonprofits and not-for-profit entities. So connecting with like the any radio stations in the area and just asking if they're looking for, you know, those public service announcement segments, and they can be anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. You typically want to stay less than a minute, and they'll play them, and you'll get plenty of people connecting through that in the local area.
Yeah, and in fact, it's already established within LaLa Gardens ecosystem. So I have a very strong, very living relationship with a local radio station, and he has a library. He checks out all his equipment. He has a studio space. He has an event space. He knows about what we're doing, and he's actually kind of actively involved. So yeah, so media is definitely a part, and that's kind of what the beauty of the archetypes are, because there's already like one of the archetypes already works on hyper local. So yeah, so it's cool. Like, yeah, we got that.
Is there an NPR station in Fort Collins specific to Fort Collins, or is it coming out of Denver?
I don't know about NPR, but there are some amazing Colorado stations that are not even conglomerate.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Yeah, any locals.
Oh,
One
yeah.
good thing about
I'm going to drop the link as soon as I find it, who Chris is, so you can really get a feel for that.
And there is a media lab in LaLa. That's right. You do this kind of things too.
Yeah.
Before.
Okay.
Yeah.
That target audience is local, is going to be a gold mine, I'm certain. Having done a little research and asked a few people about that area, I think that once they find out there's something worth not just saving, but helping to blossom, you'll get a lot of contributions through the local market.
And we want those people to sign up like co-op members. So this is our C-class members. So we know who they are. So they are our members, and they can choose like to be a steward or to be like the contributions they want to make. As long as we know who they are, that's the thing.
So I just dropped the link. That's Chris. He's the one. He's connected to some major money in town as well. So I've just been waiting for this day.
Media. Okay.
Just to tie the other end on Mainvest, do you want to defer using that platform until further vetting, or what do you want to do?
No, no, I don't see any reason to postpone. I think moving forward with them, timing's right. And yeah, it makes sense. I trust your judgment. You've already spoke with them, you know the details, and that's such a small 3%.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, the primary selling thing is the fact that the model project in the country, that's my good friend, that the attorney for it uses that. So
Yeah.
that to me is by far the biggest selling point.
Yes.
And if it's one tool, you know, for our overall strategy for raising money, then that's fine, you know.
Right.
Yeah, and it helps us to track all the contributions from the beginning. So it's like, okay, we use that as a community member vetting process too. But we'll be using the LaLa website for knowing who these people are, and we will direct them to the MainVest platform too. So we'll have our own customized page in LaLa to know who these people are, and the MainVest for contributions and having the details from all these people.
Would people have to invest through MainVest, or would there be other
Yes.
mechanisms? Okay.
Who MainVest?
Okay.
But they buying cooperative shares through the LaLa Gardens site.
Yes, but it's like we are, this crowdfunding regulation is covered by them. So it's our financial instrument.
Yeah. I love the focus on local, and I've been learning a lot about Tina's local relationships and the marketplaces she's done, the interviews she's done. For me specifically, since I don't know some of you very well, I'll share with you that I'm pretty interwoven in the seeds community, and my romantic partner, he has raised almost $1 million in the past year from a lot of people in the Seeds Network. And I've raised from people in the Seeds Network through seeds, people buying my seeds, through being a member of the Commons. So that ally bucket will definitely be a bucket that I'll be working on, contacting those individuals who have already invested in Permatours, invested in my partner's product, which is a software that's going to help increase liquidity in the seeds community. And I also think just serving or functioning like a hub for experimenting with seeds is going to be a really exciting opportunity for a lot of people who have invested in seeds to see an actual use case thriving. So I'm going to be adding that into the deck as well and focusing on that angle when approaching that community.
Great. It's awesome.
Already
So-
brought up a good point when we met with him about the local Fort Collins initiative and how they don't have right now any kind of a tokenomics or any kind of a exchange outside of the fiat. So when we get this going, we have a perfect opportunity to approach the municipality and say, we've got it established. We can actually integrate that seamlessly with your, there's a local, but is it a botanical or a museum of some kind, where they can then, when someone purchases a ticket, this is just a simple example. Somebody purchases a $10 ticket to do a tour through their botanical garden, they get 50 seeds to be used at LaLa Gardens. It's a lost leader that brings people to LaLa Gardens, that brings them to the website, that ends up getting them to do transactions and use those tokens. And it spreads, and then it becomes what that local area can start using and increases the value of seeds. But that's just one example of how we can move forward and improve multiple layers.
I mean, FYI, we have a 300,000 seed account for educating people in regenerative culture. So,
Oh, that's gorgeous.
yeah.
Okay.
Going back to the MainVest, to open the MainVest account, we need 3 things. We need bylaws, which Letty's kicked ass on. We need the bank account, and which we need, let me get into that for a second. And then we need the financial projections, which the 2 of you are kicking ass on. And they don't need to know these are finalized. Like if they're like 80% there, it doesn't matter to them. It's just as long as you're giving thought. So what you already have is already good enough. As far as the bank account, what Letty was suggesting was having the board, quote, interim board of directors for the LCA until until we basically have the election. The interim being the signatories in the bank account, and we talked about like having 3 initial ones to be the signatories to open the bank account. Which Letty, if you want to just explain your thought behind it.
Yes, it's like everything is interconnected. So main best want to know we are working on the financials and our bylaws have to be signed by the board of directors, right? So we have been filed as a limited cooperative association and we didn't set up the board because there were 3 organizers. And the way this works is like the organizers by majority. So in this case, Tina and Leah agreed to nominate the board of directors. So there's gonna be like minimum 3 directors and we're gonna have 4 or 5, and this will be the interim board, right? Until next year in the annual meeting, which will be in June or July. These members are gonna be voted in by all the members, or some can change, or they can be like different nominations, right? So for the bylaws, we need the directors to sign those. So it's like the organizers nominate and agree on the initial board of directors, who in turn signed the bylaws. So we can have 3, 4, maybe 3 directors and 2 advisors, or 3 advisors. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can have 3 directors and 3 advisors, so 3, 2, and those will be signing the bylaws. And with those signatures, we'll be opening the traditional bank account for the main best proposal. So I suggest the same people will be in there.
I would take myself off as a director and take on an advisory role, and we could do that. Do we want to do that like right now? We could just elect now, kind of, or come to that agreement?
We don't need to. Maybe this is public and it's a good forum, but the thing is like the organizers nominate and then agree by majority vote to decide on the initial board.
Okay.
That's the process.
Do you
So
need,
both of you nominate and agree to have the board, the interim board.
does the board and the signatories, do they have to be in the States? As in you, for signature authority? I mean, if you're in Europe,
Maybe I can be an advisor in the board, but I don't need to be like one of the original signatures too. So that's a good point. We don't need everyone to be on the signatures. They can be like several people, but we don't need the same people to be there. So I can provide an international, my passport or anything, but that can be different too.
yeah, we just don't
I
want.
can be an advisor and I don't need to be in the signature of the, in the
We
bank.
just don't want to create a situation where we've got, signatures all except for one person and they've got to arrange travel just to sign something. So,
Yeah, that's the thing. So they can agree, but well, it's like there's no need for me, or I can in the future. I don't know.
So I don't know what the first step on doing this, but I know we need to get it done. So what do we do?
Yes, it's like we need to nominate the interim board because those will be signing the bylaws.
How do we
So it's
nominate?
very important for that.
How do we do
reason.
that like right now?
Okay, who want to be a director?
Who's not willing to be a?
It's gonna be
I'll-
like
I'll
in the transition team, because we are the transition team, so we will be the interim board of directors. Because that's
know.
like there's no way to do it other way. So sorry, it's like you wanna be an advisor or a director. So A or B.
Can I nominate somebody?
Yeah, you will be nominated officially and Leah too, and then we have like a raise hand, like a director or advisor.
You know what we could do? We could put in the chat, without posting it, we just get ready to post it and we just take the time to post who we each want to be the 3 directors and 3 advisors. And then we just see what the overlap is and count it up, and that's it. Should we just do that?
Yeah, it can be a 4-2 or a 3-3. And then the signatures line can be a 4-5 or a 4 only.
So the first vote that we will just put into the chat, and then I'll count to 3 and then we post it, will be 4-3 or 3-3, or 4-3 or 4-2 or 3-3.
Well, also it sounded to me a second ago like Letty and Tina, you two expressed that you want to be advisors, correct? And I'm wondering if anyone is opposed to that.
Is that a good idea that Tina's not on the board? I mean, Letty, what's your thought on that?
If it's an advisory member, I feel that it's like very similar in a way. They won't have like the voting rights, but they have to be listened to in every decision. But it's true that the board of directors are like the final voting members for these kind of decisions
I can't even, oh, I'm just saying in
by
perception.
law. But that's not the case if we want to make it like more adjustable, innovative, and say, okay,
Yeah.
those advisors are like, yes, actual like voting members.
I mean, perception wise, with the steward circle of like 19, 25 people, if they see, Tina, you're not on the board, I don't know how they're.
No, I'll be on the board. Okay, do you want me to tell you why I don't think I can?
Yeah,
be
that's
on
what I want to know, yeah.
All right, I'm about to disclose something that's vulnerable, so just take care. Okay, so I don't have a current valid driver's license.
That's it?
I think that, yeah. So
Not a problem.
okay, then it's.
Whoa,
Oh my God, Tina, you're out of the project. All right. That's it.
that was it. That was what we were making at the end. Folks, this was an announcement.
Thought you were gonna tell us you had cancer or something, Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah. Expecting.
that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like, damn it, no, that driver's license, whatever. I may not have a driver's license in 2 or 3 states. I'm not certain
Oh, okay.
from old tickets that I never bothered to pay. We'll see someday.
Why did you think that would preclude you from being a director?
Because I thought it was because we're doing this for the bank and the investment, and I think they always ask for ID, and I'm like, I don't have, it's also, it's expired, and I have to clear up the ticket before I can get it not expired. So literally, I can't walk into a bank and get my own bank thing. So I couldn't open a bank account.
Okay, yes, you can. You can
Get a
go
state
to the
ID.
DMV and for like $11, get a state ID.
Oh,
It just is all the same information, only it's not a driver's license, it's an official ID. Just
okay.
pick one up. It's really, really cheap.
All right. That's the only reason. I'd love to be a director. I
All
want
right,
to
you're a
Be a
director,
director.
period. Come on.
I love that. It's like we're thinking about the downsides. I was thinking, okay, oh my God, I need like the US authorities to provide me with an international tax number like next week to be able to do that. And you think, okay, maybe it's not that fast, everything. So, but I love that you've raised this point, so I hear you.
But I must say, Tina, that for you to even just consider not being on the board is such a leap of
right.
faith and trust in all of us.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, but it's not necessary. I nominate Tina first to be on the board as a
Second.
director, anyone second. There you go.
Yeah,
Cool. Gorgeous.
And I
Right.
think, I think second and third, for the fact of the matter is, from the initial, it's been Neil, Leah, and Letty. The only concern with Letty is the international position. So if we go 3, I think it's Neil, Tina, Leah. If we go 4, then Letty.
And another advisor that could be Brandon. So I guess 3, 2.
And I think I stated in a few text messages, I don't need to be a director on the board. I'll be an advisor simply because my time is so very limited and my communication is so limited. I'm going to be spending a significant amount of time in the Appalachian Mountains on a big project. So I'll be checking my phone every 2 or 3 days, that kind of thing.
Okay, do you, Tina, Leah, do you want to nominate these members and to raise your hand to say you agree to having 3 directors and 2 advisors in the board? Thank you.
Oh, I swear.
I agree.
Is that our official act?
Yes, it is. And Sydney is super, it's like, she's
I have a question of Sydney. Sydney, I know you've just recently connected with us. I know you probably have a longer relationship with Tina and others. But do you see yourself wanting to be an integral part of this for more than just a month or 2? We're talking a year, 2, 10, something like that. If so, and you don't have to answer right now, but go right ahead. Go ahead.
For life. Yeah, I mean, I've been working with Tina for a while now on the seeds and NFT front, and then Permatours came here, and it's just been magic. And my plan is to be here until this whole saving thing is complete, and then going to Boston and getting my car and driving with all my stuff here. And yeah, this is like a dream. I've been an entrepreneur for a while and I've pitched a lot of things, but I've never had the opportunity to pitch like a return on an investment in land, and the whole idea of earning equity in land that has this mission and intention is like, it's everything that I could want. And I've been so loving hanging out with Tina. And I also have Bank of America as my bank. I don't know if that's helpful, but I'm happy to do whatever I can to support this process and to serve in whatever capacity is most helpful.
Great. So we can talk logistics later, but if you're going to Boston, you got a place in North Carolina for a stopover. And I will probably be a trip out there, I'd say September.
Oh,
So if we were to coordinate, and if things go well, and when I have a few minutes to say more, I'll talk about my visit to the land and plans.
cool.
But coordinating some men going out there, getting some classes going, and getting volunteers and paid members and women and practitioners.
Every time he says that, please correct him.
I come from 30 years in
The
the
men's group he's
construction
talking about.
industry. So
One of my-
I'm
is not
going to
meant.
punch you every time you say that.
Number one investor in permatours who the Seeds community lives in North Carolina, Mark Epstein. He's like, I think the reason Seeds is still going because he is so truthful and honorable and transparent, and he's like the financial tokenomics genius that like does all the things that I don't understand, and because I trust him, it's like, yeah.
Yep.
So maybe I'll visit you both. That would be awesome.
Sounds good. All right. So did we just elect a board?
All right, good.
And does Tina have what she needs to open the bank account?
To that, do we want Sydney to be the active one opening the bank account because I don't have a ID right now, just to get it done quickly? Or do I just go there today and get that done and we just wait till it's done and then I open it? And I don't know what the minimum would be, $50? I don't know.
They usually ask for $100, but you can literally open it with a $1 bill. If it's a business account, there is
Well, they
going to
have
be a
different
small
requirements.
fee associated with it. But since this is a nonprofit or not-for-profit, you could probably get them to waive fees.
Well, they have structures, certain minimum monthly amounts and blah, blah, blah.
Well, First Bank, like all the credit unions do not open accounts for cooperatives because they have no idea how to handle them. So First Bank has a regional director that I talked to that's willing to actually take you under her wing and
Good.
start a wave of cooperative accounts at this bank. So it's First Bank, it's recommended by the other credit union as a credit union, and her name's Katie. So she's willing to help you. Well, anyway, call her by name if you need to. The bank managers already know that you're coming.
Okay.
Perfect.
Is
They'll
it
let
okay-
you know what you need, whether
Okay.
you have it first trip or not, and maybe just a phone conversation is the first way to go. Then the EIN number will be important, the papers that show that the LCA is established, and there you go. You're off and
We
running.
have those papers that came in the mail, so.
And they can look it all up online too.
Yeah.
But you will need your state ID.
Yeah.
For
All
that.
right. So do we want to is it okay? Can I ask if it's okay if Sydney opens the bank account?
Possibly. Let's talk a little further. Have you got a passport?
Me? No, it's.
Have you got any photo ID of any kind?
No,
Okay.
I have to go. I will have to go to and I could do that. I mean, I
It
could-
usually has to be an executive, right, of the company.
Yeah.
So
So I'll do that today, then I will get an ID.
It'd take less time for you to get an ID than it would be for us to add Sydney onto the corporation.
Okay,
No offense, Sydney.
None taken.
Good
Yeah,
work.
my first contribution to LaLa monetarily will be paying off the ticket that Tina has.
What ticket? What are you talking about? What?
yeah.
That driver's.
No, a
license.
ticket. Ooh,
Oh,
Okay.
right.
You're
But
muted.
yeah,
You're muted, Letty.
you're
I don't know if you know.
Yeah, no, sorry. I was saying that we abide by like safety driving style in this cooperative. So if it's that, we don't mind. Like it's like only I was talking about the social security number. Isn't that valid to open the bank account?
Ooh.
yeah,
Which-
well, I think I do have to have a valid ID. But it's okay. I'll get it today.
Yes, you will.
So just a quick FYI, next week, Tuesday, is the first orientation of our cooperative governance training. That's going to be a 9-month training program done by one of the top, that Letty and Tina know, is one of the top communication I don't know, experts in the world. She's been knighted by the Queen of England. So she's going to start that orientation process on Tuesday. And it's going to be a 9-month process so that everyone is in plant medicine spirit about how to actually work together, govern together, make decisions together, handle conflict together, like no other group. And this is the core of the governance of the cooperative, this steward circle that's forming this 12-person group. So Leah's in it. Well, at least right now she's in it. If she wants to continue, because it's a bit of a, it's going to be 80 to 100 hours over 9 months. So anyway, that's been funded. It's been funded 25 grand to actually fund this program. So that's starting on Tuesday. And then Leah, you had something you want to share at the end?
Yeah. So along the same lines, you know, so we're all on the same page about like what is regenerative? How do we do this? What are the principles? What are we, you know, what frameworks are we following? You know, I think we should all take the regenerative community development course that I teach. So if you think that's a good idea, let me know, but I'm planning to launch one in September. And now Reiki, I think has asked me to do that for the Regen Civics groups as well. So it would make sense to kind of run it all, you know, together. And
Yeah.
I don't know how, like where the money will come from, because I can't do it for seeds or for free. It's got to be some combination of fiat and other money, other currency. So anyway, but for any project we do, you know, there has to be, like you're saying, Tina, in the documents, coherence, right? We need to be coherent about what we're doing, what we think we're doing, what we're actually doing.
Well, simply definitions. I've now been on so many different meetings where someone speaks about one thing and then their understanding of it is completely different from everybody else. So that at least within our groups where we work, there'll be a consistency of understanding. So when you're speaking to someone new, you're teaching them correctly. So they know what we're talking about going forward.
I mean, this is the kind of thing that, this is what foundations and grants and your nonprofit is specifically for, I think, is like to get a grant for educating people on how to do a regenerative project regeneratively. I mean, that should be a grant that should not be difficult to secure.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's literally the grant that we got to do this, to like, it's coming from the restorative justice, diversity BIPOC world. But like they said, this is an opportunity to actually set the new model for sovereign governance. We're absolutely funding that group, and you should get a grant for doing this for regeneration.
I would also like to bring into your awareness that that is exactly what the Microbe Heroes is for. So even if we're just doing it in practice, and Leah, I would love to have your training be one of the aspects of the NFT if you're interested.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, right at this point, it needs to be a combination of
Of course.
other.
Well, yeah.
So
That means sharing profits. So like if people buy the NFT, they get access to this education. So you would be a beneficiary of the money that's spent to acquire the NFT.
okay.
That's how it works. So I am hearing, so Neil has a course, Leah has a course. I have a weird platform that allows for funding. Neil, so we all, and I'm sure Regen, anyway, and there's Regen Civics. So are we going to all agree that we're going to take each other's courses?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Yay. Thank you for
This
those.
is Regen University in the making.
Regen
University.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So a little bit back to the local hyperlocal integration. I'm just going to kick this in for next agenda. We're going to start talking about rebranding. What are the milestones? And also maybe that's the piece that we can weave the local. We can do a lot of announcing and parties and sort of that sort of thing with this new birth of this rebranded LaLa Gardens Cooperative. So let's just keep that in our parts for a local expression. That sounds good. And I'm looking at the agenda.
While you're studying the agenda, I'll remind you of a request that I had made. If you can look through some of your old documentations and if you can find a survey from when you purchased the property, the
Thank you.
property lines have not changed. So that'd be valid. If I can get a copy of that survey, then I can start to plan any other structures for future projects, like the tiny homes we talked about, the locations for teepees, etc., the greenhouse, covered areas for work area, that kind of thing. So that would be very helpful.
Okay, and to
Do you
that
happen
end,
to have,
you guys want to announce- I'll go ahead, Sydney, sorry.
I was just wondering if you had any information on the solar loan that you could forward to us?
Me,
Yeah.
I know that in my conversations, they are just sitting there waiting. So they've agreed not to move forward on anything. So I've got all the creditors right now just sitting and waiting.
Okay, we have someone who wants to give 5K, but she has a background in solar and she wants to know about this loan. So if there's any information we could forward to her,
Sure.
that's the contingency. So
Okay, I can grab my, well, I have another conversation. I can get my file and go through those notes, but the back pay is less than $5,000 to get it back to active. And then
Okay.
payments going forward could happen. I'll get the current interest rate. Typically, they change it when you miss a few payments, and there've been a few missed. So we can get all that to this individual if they're interested in possibly refinancing that solar loan. That would be
that
great.
would be awesome. And is the loan from you guys coming from Regen Living, or is it a personal?
It'd be personal.
Personal?
Yep.
Do you have any details on the loan status or timing that that you and Leah would like to share? Or maybe this is the time for you to sort of give your offerings of your observations and thoughts.
You want to go into that?
I think by the end of this week, we need to have a sales contract signed. So I'll know the numbers and everything by then, I hope. And then probably by the end of the following week, the loan will be in underwriting, and then it typically takes about 2 more weeks after that. So we're looking at probably a month from now to have that wrapped up.
So by next week, we're going to be signing the initial agreement.
And
Yeah.
it'd be a real estate contract. The lenders, the banks, they won't do underwriting without a contract in hand.
And who is writing those up?
Well,
That
we
would-
can do it. You can find them online and we'll just fill in the blanks. It's really easy.
Yeah, Colorado may have a 2-pager. Those are simple. And
There is a sample I uploaded in our folder. I don't know if that's there or not, but there's an encoder like Tina's, so you can look at that too if you want. I mean, that's
was that a Colorado real estate?
No, I think it was from a federal one, so it's not super adjusted to Colorado, but it was like the general provisions of a real estate one for transfer.
Tina, you've got a friend that's a real estate agent?
I
Yeah.
can get,
All right, Leah's already got a Colorado contract.
okay.
So she can send that to you. It's just simply filling out the blanks. And on the date for closing, I would suggest we put it on or before and put a date pretty far out. The further out with you don't want to go 90 days, but go 60 days. And that way we can continue to push the creditors. As long as they've got a copy of that contract, they sit back and go, okay, we'll get our money eventually.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So we'll just keep it 60 days out then?
Yeah.
That's fine.
And I'm going to be expecting that document from you, Leah, sometime this week, and then I'll have it signed and out to you by the end of the week, or?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, that would be amazing. Thank you.
So should I take a few minutes to transition into my evaluation of the property itself? Okay. So first, let me say that us having had a delay was actually a good thing. Had I shown up to the property and not had a chance to interact with you, Tina, I would have said this property is worth us buying just on looking at it on a conventional way, saying it has equity. It's basically, if I were writing up a real estate investment description to any of my private money lenders, I'd be writing it up and calling it a diamond in the rough. With the fact that the kitchen in the state it's in, the bathrooms are in the state they're in, just some of the interior and structural stuff that needs to be done, I'd be putting that in there as things that absolutely will have to have attention for it to have a resale value. The exterior, the cleanup, and you admittedly have a couple of seasons where you've just backed off, but the exterior cleanup that would have to be done, all of that is simple. It's just physical work. Your knowledge of what to move and what not to move obviously is important. But if I just showed up looking at this without knowing you or the whole plan, just looking at it as an investment, as a real estate transaction, I would say, yeah, let's move forward on it. That being said, looking at it from where we're all looking at it, it's so much more. And the main reason for that is the 2.5 hours I got to sit with you, Tina.
Aw.
The house, the structure is what it is. It's fine. It needs attention. But your energy, your passion, though it's been kind of asleep, though it's kind of been frustrated, though not kind of, it has been frustrated, it has been asleep, having that time to talk with you and seeing that your heart is in that, supporting you and getting this going again, lighting that fire and turning it into a blaze that people will be attracted to. Yeah, this is an absolute hub where we can all be happy to be part of. There's no real limitation to it. We can look at this and say, all these different layers can be added onto it. All the courses, all the retreats, all the teachings and trainings, all the demonstrations, all the just festivals. There's so many things that can be supported from that land that you've nurtured for 20 years. So here we are moving forward with it. I have full confidence that this is going to be a very big success, that a lot of people are going to love to be part of this. And I was asked by an investor potential to say in an elevator pitch, what would you tell people in order for them to look at this? And I'd say the same thing I've said now hundreds of times. I buy a property that's, again, that it needs work. I go out and ask people, you want to pitch in? You want to be part of it? And they go, oh, maybe. And I just move forward. And when I'm done with it, they go, man, I should have. And I go, yeah, you should have. So the elevator pitch on this one is, in a few months to a year, all those people who had the opportunity to jump in the beginning are going to go, I wish I would have. That's it. I mean, we've got some good stuff to do there all together.
Nice. I love that so much.
Ditto, 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 ditto.
And it's just
That's a
beautiful.
beautiful end to this conversation. Really beautiful one.
Yeah. Came for the community, stayed for the LaLa. Oh my God. So I'm just checking real quick if there's anything else. Is there anything anyone would like to bring up as an thank you, Brandon, for that loving analysis and for your time and for everything that you're doing. And Leah, thank you for your extension of goodwill and faith and just sight unseen for yourself. Thank you. And is there anything else that anyone else would like to bring up or announcements, things like that?
Yeah, you LaLa Gardens has a gardener, herbalist gardener coming in, building an apothecary here. It's my best friend's cousin who just happens to live nearby. So
Great.
Yeah, she just got fired. I'm not fired, but the school closed down, and she's like, she wants to come into the space and have it be part where she stays and part apothecary. So we now all of a sudden have an apothecary. Anyway.
We love that. That is the local community level, which we are providing for too. So that's great.
Right? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, well, on that note, I suppose we need to go around and set some intentions. And then if anybody wants to come next week and open up with either some kind of ceremonial level of gratitude or intention setting, just speak up, think about it, keep it in your hearts for this week. And meanwhile, let's take a pause, a good healthy pause, and then popcorn our intentions.
My intention is to continue supporting the magical flow. That's it.
My intention is to continue serving to provide a nurturing environment that allows for people to feel safe and joyous.
My intention is to be an interconnected link between several regions and several procedures. And that's my goal.
My intention is to live my truth, to live in alignment with my soul's purpose, and to continue to serve by holding space for people to share their gifts in service of each other, Mama Gaia, humanity. And LaLa Gardens is the container for that.
I intend to continue using my gifts and talents that flow through me from source to support all those that I come in contact with and all those that will come into contact with them for a better, thriving life for all.
Well, my intention is to, of course, as a group, but I have my own special ways of doing this also to attract what is needed for this team to continue functioning well and attract more members, and for the project to be successful and enable other initiatives and projects to be successful as well.
Gorgeous. May it be so. Have a blessed day, you all.